Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a special guest, Prentice Alston. He is one of our Skillagents past students, and what I really wanted to do today is just dig into where he's come from, gone to, his journey, his lessons, what he wants to share with us, and just basically dig more into his experiences and how anybody who wants to get into this field can use them as an inspiration for their own journey. Thank you. How are you?
Anna, very well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. All right. So first off, where are you? What do you do? And who's your audience? Who do you work with?
Okay. Right now, I'm in the south of China, Guangdong province. My learners, my participants are corporate. I do corporate training, and I also speak at universities. Hold seminars, hold classes at universities, and I've been here for some time, about 13 years in total. Yes.
That's awesome. So I gotta pick your brain then. Why there? Why China? Like, isn't that hard? Like one of the hardest languages to learn, and now you're teaching.
That it is. So out of university, right out of university, I came straight to China to study language, and kind of fell into teaching here. But I would say that the initial language learning part was really detrimental. It just allowed me to gain a footing and understanding of the culture the first year that I came to China. So with that, going into teaching, and have been doing it ever since.
So 13 years you've been there.
Yes.
That is so cool. And do you I guess you must love it there, because
Oh yes. Very nice here. The people are always so welcoming, so kind, ready and willing to help you if needed. So yeah, it's great.
Wow, that's fun. All right, so I'm gonna pick your brain later about like your favorite cultural differences between like living in the U.S. and living in China. That's awesome.
I mentioned I am originally from Chicago, USA, and yeah, that's my hometown.
That's such an awesome trip. That's fantastic. So, okay, so you're straight out of after school. You go to China. What was your goal? Did you want to teach, or why did you end up there?
Initially, just the language. The university that I graduated from and a university in China are sister schools. They have an exchange relationship.
Oh.
So I was the first person in my university to like reverse exchange. So coming from the U.S. to China, and it was quite a trip, quite an experience. And initially, just for language learning, it was a 1-year intensive Mandarin Chinese language program, classes every day of the week, about 6 hours a day, reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And for the first 6 months of my China experience, I just studied. So
that's what you call immersion, my friend. Holy. Oh, wow. Okay. So then, so getting into learning, now, I know very little about the approach and the standards in China, but what was it like when you first started teaching? What was the experience like?
Well, this is English as a second language, and there are horror stories about ESL teachers. 60% of them are true. not all of them, but most of them. So again, no experience inside of a classroom, doing it to begin with just to help a friend, and basically it was an English book handed to me and teach. Do English, So no prior training per se, but I slowly found my way. I did begin to like it. Started out with children and young adults. Slowly found my way through the what was needed, through the things to engage students, and yeah, with no prior training, just into the deep end and sink or swim.
So what was a typical day during that time for you?
It was a typical day, I'd say, is little prep. Again, with China, and at that time, this was about 10, 13 years ago, just being a foreigner in China, that was enough for most of the day. The engagement and the first-hand contact at that time was really rare. It's kind of scarce. So being able to just come into the classroom and then faces light up and children and people have gleams in their eyes, and the initial stardom, you have to get over that, because now you want to try to teach a lesson, but initially coming into the classroom ill prepared, not necessarily on purpose, but just no training again, and just trying to do the best with the content that was given, and to give quality lessons at that time, which were not very quality, but we make our way.
Totally. Like you're basically falling back on doing your best with what you already, how you learned, right? Like
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So how did that manifest itself, like in your work, and how you structured those experiences? Did you just straight up go and full on lecture, or what was your?
In the beginning, yes. It was more speaking at the participants than it was speaking with them and understanding what they needed. And it's very easy to come with a mindset of the Western style of teaching. I lecture, you listen. When it's time to answer questions, you raise your hand. And none of that worked at all in China. You have to be able to first understand the culture, and this was after some years that I'm looking back that I finally understand this. But initially, most students are shy. They would not be willing to single themselves out to answer a question. So you can't be taken back by that. It's not anything against you personally as the teacher, but nature in their culture, they would not volunteer to answer. So keeping that in mind and learning those experiences, eventually my teaching began to be more direct, more concerted. And it's been a long journey from the general jester in the classroom, to actually listening and giving quality lessons, English lessons. And again, with language, the teacher speak should be 20% at most, and it's taken me years to learn that lesson. So students now are speaking more than I am.
That's
Not
fantastic.
now,
Hey, that's a great lesson. Oh, and whatever, as long as it takes, man, as long as it takes, that's fantastic. So, okay, so we're talking about you're taking Skillagents. Like, what made you take that? Like, why did you want to do that?
Well, in the same mindset, I think you and I are like, and a lot of the teachers and trainers out there are like, where if something goes wrong in the classroom, we won't look at the students, we won't look at our participants, we won't look at our learners, we'll look at ourselves and find out what we can do better to give more quality in the classroom. So Skillagents at that time was like just right on point. Listen, I've been following you for quite a long time also, Anna, so I've been taking your lessons from YouTube way back when. It seems like it's been a long time, 4 or 5 years, but taking your lessons and trying them out in my classroom, and again, all in the goal of trying to deliver better lessons, more quality lessons where results can be seen. So when Skillagents came around, it was just you basically. Like, I was already like a little Padawan behind you, and once you opened the classes, I was ready for it. So
that's awesome. So thank you. That's cool. All those YouTube videos. Yay. Okay. Now do tell me, like, I don't know if this would fly in your classroom. You haven't done the potato icebreaker with anybody, have you?
I have not. Pretty strict.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I don't think it would fly.
I would have probably had to find another job that day. Yeah, definitely.
Good. And I'm like, that's a certain context. Everybody's got to be really comfortable. Good. Okay. All right. I needed to know. So now you're saying that it just you do look at yourself, right? And you just try and, I think, reflect on what is it, what the results that you're getting. Can you improve the situation? It's interesting though that you took that and you experimented with it in a very different cultural context, as far as I'm concerned, because you say things like, somebody's not going to be able to feel comfortable raising their hands. It's more of a collective, right? And how do you then, so how did you apply those lessons? How do you say, oh, I'm going to take this, and then did you experiment? What was your strategy?
I would say for a novice coming into the classroom, it can be very overwhelming because it's totally different from the mindsets that are in the West. But saying that, not to say that it's impossible. Once you do have a good community, once the learners do trust you and see you as a part of their collective, their group, then that's really where the fun begins. Because you can, if you're an outsider looking at one of my classes, you would think, I could never do that. And once they like you, and once they trust you, you can pretty ask any much of them. They, with that trust comes that this is for my benefit, or it's fun and this will help me in some way or another. So once that initial ice is broken, oh yeah, it's your oyster. Like, you can ask pretty much anything.
That's fantastic.
For the benefit, yes.
So was there an event or something that happened that proved to you that you were like, yeah, this is working, this is good, I made the right decision?
Definitely. Let me try to recall that. It was an aha moment. So again, this is after I've took some of the lessons in Skillagents, the most being collaboration and assessments. So the thing in China is, with English, yes, they can understand and speak, but when they speak, it's very, I don't want to say robotic, but it sounds like a book. And what they actually want and need is more one-to-one casual encounters, where, yes, this is a big word. The word is the exact meaning as you're using it in the context, but we definitely would not say this word in this context. So after some collaborative activities, I also gave them the assessments as a group, as a collaboration activity. And my moment was when just seeing them use what I taught them in context as naturally as possible can be. And it was just, my heart just leaped out of my chest. You get that moment when that it hit home, and they're actually using it as, you taught it to them. In my classes, I teach a wide range of language in context. That's most of where my teaching is from, in the context, in the situation. But then I would just give them one more little, maybe very cultural way of saying something that is not, there's a range of book English, and then you're like very, very slangy English, and then you're right in the middle. So when I give them something that's closer, not very bad as far as slang is concerned, but something that we use every day naturally in the West. And it's just a little mark on the board. I put it there, I explain it, they understand it, they connect it. But then during the assessments, she used that one, and I'm just a horrible teacher. Like A plus, 150. I'm just biased, because you're using that one, just that one, and yeah, and you use it correctly. So that was my aha moment at that time, the moment.
Awesome. It's funny because I think most people, that's the collaboration pieces, because a lot of them build like self-paced learning and things like that. They never really get to use those pieces. So it's wonderful to hear somebody who's actually applying the collaboration and got to use it. And the assessments piece, like creating their own and collaborating with other people, like that's like the next level. And that's so cool you use that. That's excellent. So now, okay, so you heard about Skillagents through my YouTube channel, which is awesome. But why did you decide to pull the trigger and buy? Was it just
full disclosure? Can I just it was you. It was because for you. You told me to. Yeah. You told me to. You said buy. No. Really, the YouTube channel, you were also promoting it there, but I had already had your email. I had already subscribed to your email, and I think your emails just spoke to me really at that time. Your personalized styled emails at that time, the questions that you asked in those emails, do you want to have better engagement with your learners? Yes. Do you want to find great ways and so again, I'm always trying to be better and learn more. So at that time, it was not even a question. So yeah.
Cool. I'll take that. So was anything about the course different than you expected?
I can't say that. I could say that you over delivered and you didn't even promise. You can deliver as promised, but you over delivered and didn't even promise. So yeah, I cannot say that there was anything that was not expected from the from the teacher. Yes.
This is awesome. I'm so glad I'm talking to you, because this is like, when you said your heart burst because you're like student, and I'm like, right now I'm like on cloud 9. Yay!
I cannot be the only one out there, and so yeah, and then I'm just biased, like, yeah, sure, yeah, awesomeness.
So, as far as you said, the collaboration piece was beneficial for you, but as far as like personally that you found resonated, or it's stuff that you use, is there anything that you come back to or that sticks with you?
As far as collaboration, or
no, just from the whole thing, is there any ideas that you're like, yep, that one keeps on coming up?
Well, for me, that's a good question. I try to keep in mind when I design my courses to scaffold. So I've been having not a problem, but my biggest challenge has been trying to micro-learn, putting micro-learning into my courses, and now we're moving more into the future, because now I've started my own company because of you also, Miss Anna. You did give me the inspiration to start my own company, consulting company, and now I'm designing learning for corporate training, and I'm using the micro-learn. Well, I'm practicing, you got to stay at it, using the micro-learning and branching scenarios to teach my corporate learners. And for these, and university students aside, these are adult learners, so they need it in this way. I don't think it can really be any other way that you can achieve a language goal or a behavioral change goal if you're not taking the micro steps, the micro learning. So for me now, this is where I am now, and this is my challenge now.
Wow, that's a cool switch, although it obviously comes with a whole bunch of different kinds of motivation and focus and all kinds of, it's a whole nother basket, right?
Yes.
So it's cool you're getting into scenarios, because I love that.
Yes, and that's really honestly, that's why I saw a hole here, and a hole that you're telling me how to fix, and a way that things should be for best results. So from speaking to SMEs to thoughtful needs analysis, and then the designing of a course. Yeah, all of these things came from your inspiration, and we're still fighting, and yeah, doing
Fight.
well.
It's never done. It's never done. And also, you're reimagining things, right? Like it's I don't know if you think that. Do you think that there's a different? Because I mean, I talk to people who, like in North America, are fighting the status quo, launching things. So you're fighting a different kind of status quo.
A status quo that is here, because there are some very reputable training companies from the West, but have a presence here in China. But to that, I will say that it's the David and Goliath fight, where I'm more maneuverable. I'm able to design and use this reimagining of the same concepts in a different way that I feel it will definitely bring value in my training, in my courses. I don't want to give too many trade secrets, but I have something in the pot. It's cooking, and using branching scenarios and microlearning. So, and they're loving it. So it's also the selling, but it has to have value too. I don't want to just give the status quo, the generic lessons. It has to bring value, and it can be customized for you. So that's where I am now. Yes.
That's a great space to be. And you understand, you've been there 13 years, so you understand what your audiences need, right? Which is, but you also said sales, right? That's you got to be able to pitch that the right way, because a lot of people are good at their craft, but they can't actually explain the value of that craft to their customers, right? So I get that. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so who supported you on your journey? Yourself out there? And
No, I'm married here. I have a family here, and I would say the support was mostly from my wife and my girls. The support was like, go outside and play. Daddy's working, so, and they're like, okay, we're going. Like, no.
Sometimes that's what it takes. Yeah.
But then give me 5 minutes, I'll be right out to bounce you around on my knee. But the support was mostly from family, from the core family, and the value of the students with that was just more just seeing it play out as I designed it. And then, feeling satisfied with it, that just wanted me to keep going on that path.
Now, you're coming into these schools or universities, and you're teaching classes. Is anybody going, what are you doing? That's not our style.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So how do you deal with that?
Well, it's tough, and I have a little recipe. Again, so university, there are about 50 students in the class, or 40 plus students in the class. So the collaboration activities that I mentioned before had to have been well thought out. My logistics had to be on point, because I'm dealing with a lot of students at one time. So that's one. And usually it's the same as in the West here, just the lecturer and sit, listen, and take notes. So when I'm asking them to get up, and when I'm asking them to use this word in a dialogue with your friend, impromptu, or scan a a QR code on the wall, take that information, look at it, and introduce this fictitious person to someone else. You know, once the students, the learners got it, you know, they were for it because they're up out of their seats now, and you know they're doing things they've never done before. And from an outsider walking past my class, it would look like total chaos. It would look, a group of six here, a group of six there, all around the room. It would look that way, but organized chaos, definitely thought out as I designed it. So go back, tweak it a little bit more, and then do it again.
So I'm imagining a lot of resistance, some surprised faces, but you know what? That happens in all universities across. Like the minute you ask people to collaborate, they're like, "No, this sounds like work." so I get that. I'm thinking your star power probably gave you a little bit of leeway. They're like, "Hey, this guy's going to try something new with us. Maybe we should do it." Do you think that helped?
Definitely.
So I wanted to ask you, Prentice. So, I mean, I've worked with instructors before that have they discovered some active learning strategies. They've discovered, engagement, collaboration, all those things. But then they realize that it's a lot of work. And I'm just wondering what has kept you from or on as far as like just really wanting to continue. What is it that drives you?
I would definitely say it's once you have the active learning in your repertoire, for me that is the new status quo. So it's easy once you have those habits and you learn how to keep your lessons and design them in a way where they are active, and for me, since this is the new status quo, this is my new habits, it'll be easy for me until you drop some more bombs on me, asking me to step my game up once again and shake things up. I'm just looking to add value. I guess that's the biggest driving force, always wanting to add value and to give at least 90% of your best effort in designing courses.
So now that you're implementing all these things, what's the difference now? How's your life different?
Happy, of course. Leaving out of the classroom. You can leave one or two ways. For me, if I had a great class, I would leave chest out, shoulders back, walking on the clouds, or I need to go back to the drawing board and tweak something again. I would say that for me, the moment, a moment that I would say really helped me to see me living this new dream, this new life, is when I came out of a meeting with a subject matter expert who had already received my needs analysis, who had already received my pre-work and my questionnaire, and was able to fill those out and give them back to me, give them to their employees, their participants, and give them back to me. And I was able to take all of that information, all of that data, and rightfully design a course the correct way. Again, when I said that there was a hole, and that me being small enough I can maneuver, this was the point I felt that I can fill that hole. So giving customized, while I'm able to maneuver, customized solutions to the SMEs, to the HR personnel, and have everything go according as it should be. It's a natural flow with resistance. I've had a lot of resistance with it.
Change is hard.
But I think it was at that moment as well that really just made my life happy.
So what would you suggest to anybody who's struggling with this themselves, who is intimidated by new strategies, or even just where they're coming from?
Yeah. If you're following Anna, you know, or anyone that's looking to become an instructor designer, or but more so for you, I would say use the community. I think you have a loyal following of trainers and IDs under you that are more than willing to help, give feedback or give a hand if you're new coming into the field. Of course, you have to go through some pains as you're trying to implement and learn, but I think the community, we got your back. And if I can speak a little bit on the skill agents, I think for me, the reflection questions and the pace you asked us to set was really important as well, because I can easily go through 4 videos in a day, but per your suggestion, your request, to take a video at a time, video a day, and use that time to reflect. So after I watch the video, reflect on how this can be implemented in your training, in your class, or how you would imagine it to be, and write it down. Have to write it down. And,
Fabulous. Yeah. I'm so glad those reflections, they probably took me just as much to write as the course, just to think about that stuff, right? It's awesome. Okay. So I've taken up enough of your precious time, but listen, people are going to want to reach out to you, connect with you, learn more about your work. Where can they do that, Prentice?
You can find me on LinkedIn as my name, no spaces, Prentice Alston. You can find me on my email, which is prenticealston@palstontraining.com. Or since I'm in China, we use WeChat over here, Weixin, which is a platform that it's easily accessible, almost like Facebook. If you have WeChat, you can find me at _PAlston_CCJM.
And I will put all of those links underneath of the video and in the description so that people can easily get in touch, ask Prentice questions, and do business, because that's what he's here for, right? He's here to engage your learners and make sure that everybody's having the best experience possible. And it sounds like he's committed to it, which sounds fantastic. So glad to have had you on this. This is so cool. Okay, and hopefully we get to do this again soon at the next chapter.
Okay, I heard that. All right.
Okay. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you, Prentice.
Bye-bye.
Bye.